right. All right, everybody. Aloha Friday. Thank you for being with us today in this Friday afternoon. I hope everybody's well. Today, I'm excited because I get to continue to host AMSE Entrepreneurs. Today, we have Anna Larson. We're going to be talking about copywriting, marketing strategies, and you name it. But thank you, everyone that's coming in. Thank you for joining us. Anna, thank you for being with me on Aloha Friday.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
All right, folks. As I stated, I have taken this time of the month all the way through August 4th to host AMSE Entrepreneurs. If you don't know what AMSE Entrepreneurs is, it's the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. Basically, military spouses that have said, hey, I'm doing my own thing. And so today I have Anna with me. We're going to be talking about some things and also some leadership. And I see John is joining me. Thanks, John. That is your husband.
That is my husband. I'm like, you better be on there. You better be supporting.
All right. Thanks, John, and all that you are joining. If you are joining us, let us know where from. We'd love to have you. If you have questions while we're having the discussion, by all means, feel free to throw them in the comment section and we'll curate that. But for today, Anna, let's talk a little bit about you, how you got to this point in entrepreneurship. And I've had other guests, and we'll talk about that evolution.
Okay. So I would say that I am a very unique military spouse as far as my employment history has gone. I had the very unique opportunity to work for a defense contractor that instead of firing me or giving me or terminating my employment, they would put me on extended leaves of absence when we would PCS to different locations, usually outside of the United States where I wasn't able to work. So I actually maintained employment as a marketing director for nearly 16 years of my military spouse life. That is almost unheard of. There is a huge 26% unemployment rate among military spouses. So I was very fortunate in that area to be able to have a profession the entire time my military spouse served as an active duty service member. And so we came back to the United States from our final overseas duty station, which just happened to be Uganda, Africa, or Kampala, Uganda in Africa. And when we returned, I wasn't sure that I really wanted to continue working for someone else. I wanted to kind of strike out on my own. My spouse was looking at retirement in the next 5 years. And I was thinking I wanted something with a little more flexibility that gave me an opportunity to really focus on the things that I love to do. And so I partnered with a very good friend here, and we pro bono did some marketing efforts for a nonprofit, a local nonprofit that supports people that have been diagnosed with cancer. And that was the beginning of NomadAbout, and I have not looked back since.
I love that. Now, interesting place to finish out a career, right?
Yeah.
It's not like mine. Mine's with Hawaii. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, so in every service member's career, or maybe not every, but they try and do a special one-off assignment that gives them kind of a unique opportunity to use specialized skills. And the one that my spouse was offered was through the Defense Intelligence Agency. So we were attached to the embassy in Kampala, Uganda. And it was amazing. I never thought that the Army would take us to Africa, but it did. And I got to experience a lot of, I guess, bucket list items, I would say, because I am a traveler at heart. That is what I do in all my spare time. So we lived there for 2 years. And when we returned, we were PCS back to Fort Hood, Texas, which is where I currently live. And that is where we ended up retiring out of the military from.
Yeah, if there's any one thing that the military could be credited for is to expose you to the world. Right? I was fortunate
Oh,
in my 26 years to basically travel around the world, and some of that, and most of that was over water, but it got me from point A to point Z, and I was so happy to have had the opportunity not only to serve my nation, but for it to give me the reward of travel. And there's a lot of places that I want to take my family back to that I have fond memories of. So yeah, Africa,
yeah.
you name it, we've been we've been everywhere and we step on everywhere, and it's a blessing. So
Well,
marketing, how did that start for you? Getting into that, you were able to keep that, which is you are right. That's almost a miracle.
yes. Yeah, it is very I didn't know how unusual it was until I left that position and started looking into what military spouse entrepreneurship actually looked like and what was available as far as resources and support in that area. And that's when I started to realize how horrifically high the unemployment rate was for military spouses. I mean, in general, we're a brilliant lot. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're smart. Most of us have advanced degrees. We want to work. We want that profession. We want something that is, building us up personally. And it was devastating for me when I saw it, like how many of my fellow military spouses just didn't have that opportunity. So I felt very fortunate. And then when I jumped to entrepreneurship, of course, that was for personal reasons in the sense of I really wanted to be able to focus on what I love doing. And over my career as a marketing director, I did a whole lot of things, but really my passion lies in strategy and copywriting, articles and things along those lines. And so that's what I've been able to focus on. And that's morphed a little bit more. I host a lot of events, just kind of like the one you're doing here. I do a lot of event hosting, a lot of live streams, and podcasts. And then I have my client base and I support them in those areas.
Wonderful. Now, I want to take this moment to thank Rana Deb, John, we have already mentioned, and Stacy from AMSE for joining us, and all those that are joining us from across all platforms. We're streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Parade Deck. So if you're looking at us, watching us in any one of those platforms, thank you for being with us. And feel free to comment if you have questions about anything that we cover. So, Anna, as we are heading into this time where I'm highlighting entrepreneurship, what was the one thing that appealed to you that said, maybe I have what it takes to get into this thing?
So I'll tell you what it really comes down to my family lifestyle. Every time we would move with the military, we would go from overseas back to the States, then back overseas, then back to the States. We just flip flopped back and forth, back and forth. And so for me, what it came down to was as I looked at my spouse starting to retire and our lifestyle changing from that military constant, I thought, I want more time with my children. Well, I should back up just for a minute. So, because of our PCS cycle, we would move between November and February, every couple of years. And when you're moving from overseas to the States and or back and forth, then it's never like a 2-day or 3-day move. You can't just hop in your car and drive to your new home. It was always a few weeks, and we often wouldn't get our household goods for months. So we would be living out of suitcases for months. And then with my children's school schedule, we would often, even if we were living in temporary housing, then we would change locations and their school wasn't the same that maybe we would have started them in. And so I began homeschooling my kids. So as we started to look at retirement, we've homeschooled, well, ever since almost 10 years now. And since we started looking at retirement, I thought I need something that's going to work well so I can continue to homeschool my kids, for as long as they want to do that. We give them the option every year to go back to public school. So far, they look at it more as a punishment than an opportunity. But anyway, so I wanted something that fit within this new life that we were going to try and build as a retired service member, like retired service family, I guess, retired military family. And that new life required me to have more time available, more flexibility in my schedule, not to have to be clocking in. And so then I said, oh, entrepreneurship should be great for that. Little did I know running your own business is a lot of work, maybe even more than actually holding a position somewhere else. So,
That's a fact. I tell you that for a lot of people that come in and Stacy kind of corrected me there. She's a supporter, she's also a fellow ACP mentor. Thank you for your work there, Stacy. I appreciate it. Um, so entrepreneurship, and most people ask me, "Hey, how does that look like?" I said, "Well, you're working for one boss right now. You want to work for 100? So consider that,
so
right?
true.
Because the clients become somewhat of the boss at times, depending on what
Yeah.
you are providing, right? If it's services or if it's a product, you have to look at how that fares for you. But it is a task and it's not easy. So let's talk a little bit about the marketing piece in
Sure.
terms of how that relates to leaders, because leaders often don't realize that there is an element of marketing that they have to enact in their execution of leadership. And so you got to sell something, right? You're not going to sell people on, hey, this is what we're doing and everybody's on board, right? So,
Yeah.
what elements of marketing relate to leadership, and how can leaders use that?
Well, so I'll tell you, Enrique, one of the things that I've really been looking at over the last year is actually what I would call servant leadership and how that relates to marketing. So, in the past, I don't know, probably 8-ish years or so, you've seen a drastic shift where companies are trying to become more personal and personable, more authentic. They're trying to appeal to that human element, to find that empathy, and people are choosing products and services and companies based more on their personal value systems than ever before. And this has created a huge shift in marketing. You just can't have whatever you want out there. It can't just be sell, sell, sell. You really have to start to create that connection with a community and build brand loyalty and build a conversation around your brand that reflects who you are as a company in general. And I think that in terms of leadership is huge. Now, for me, looking at servant leadership, I see it in that way because it's focusing more on who it is you're actually serving. And so for servant leadership in that aspect, you're looking at what does my client truly need? What do my customers really want? What is their value system? How can I empathize with the struggles that they're going through, and what can I give them and what can I provide them that's going to, I guess, support them through whatever challenges that they're having. So that's how I would say marketing right now has changed, especially when it comes to leadership over the past few years.
Absolutely. And that personal connection piece is so valuable. It's like I say, if you're a leader and you don't have a connection with the folks you're leading, either one, they're going to realize soon enough that you're not the leader they want, or you're going to
Yes.
lose your impact and influence because you cannot connect with what's driving them. And as a leader, you have to know what's driving them. As a marketer, I would assume that you have to know what's driving the people to whatever place they're going. And if you can't connect those two as a leader, you'll become ineffective. And I love
Yeah.
that you shared that. There are strategies in marketing. There are strategies in leadership. So, what kind of marketing strategies that you use that you wish leaders would implement?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I would say is look at who you're talking to. And this really comes down to that personal connection again. You can't look at them as a client. or a customer. In fact, one of the best pieces of advice I was given early on in my career was, when you're writing something, when you're creating something, create it for a specific person that fits the demographic you're going to. So let's pretend it's, it's my neighbor Jessica. And so I'm writing this email now specifically to Jessica, to connect specifically with Jessica, as opposed to just client persona Jessica. And when you do that, what it does is it builds that personal connection. Now, as far as leaders go, depending on what where they're at in the business hierarchy structure, they may or may not have their hands in marketing. But if they're empowering their marketing team to create those personal connections, to build that community around what their efforts are, as opposed to just, let's see the analytics, hey, our reach isn't big enough, and really focusing more on the data and the return on investment. If you do that slow grow, and it doesn't even really have to be slow grow, but most of the time it is, building a community takes time, because it takes time for people to learn to trust that you are who you say you are, and that you're going to deliver what you say you'll deliver. And so if people are able to focus on that and truly learn to love your company, you're going to see a return on investment that's going to be greater in the long term than you would if it's just push your marketing team to only get those analytics out to meet certain things, whether that be through ads or boosts or whatever, depending on what social platforms or marketing strategies you are using. So for leaders, I would say empower your teams to make those personal connections. Give them the tools to be able to do that. Listen to their feedback. If they're telling you something's not working, it's probably not working, even if it's working in the short term. And if it's going to hurt your company in the long term, your marketing team is going to be the ones that are going to see that first, because they're seeing the reactions of what's going out there, because that marketing effort is the face of what your company is.
And I love that are you who you say you are? For leaders, ask yourself that question. And are you producing what you say you would, right? They are
Yeah.
trusting you with the vision to get them somewhere. They are the operators, right? And yes, if they say something's not working, I hope that as a leader, you're understanding that it's not working. And so,
Yeah.
what can you do as a leader to empower them to be able to go and put in place the things that would work? Because sometimes we want things to work and we push it, right? We
Yeah.
push that down.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
what
think
we
a
do
lot
is
of
we handcuff our people.
Yeah. I was going to say, a lot of times I think leaders do something because they think they will like it,
Mhm.
right? They're looking at what they find effective, and you might not be your ideal client. So we implement tasks or strategies going, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what would get me in the door." But if you're not your ideal client, it doesn't matter. That's not going to work for your client base. And I think they forget that sometimes, because it doesn't maybe necessarily connect with them personally.
Right. And it is a, I say, a dangerous road to go down if you're a leader and you're driving because you want to, and you don't consider your people. Soon, like I said, sooner or later it's going to be trouble. So there's
Yes.
Stacy says that yes, it is so important to listen from your client's perspective. Look, we're not in business because we had the greatest thing. We're in business
Yeah.
because somebody needed what we provided. Right? So
Exactly. I feel like Stacy's a fellow marketer at heart, if nothing else, you know?
well, she's definitely a supporter. She's chiming in, and I really appreciate it. Um, so we get into this marketing mode, but I wanna dive into your company specific Nomad About, right? Nomad About.
Okay.
Um, where did that seed come from, right? Other than your experience, and how are you taking that to help both the military community and community at large?
So I love telling the origin story of my business. If you are a military spouse, you will resonate with this. If you are not, then when you move to a new place every few years, it is really hard to find and maintain strong connections, friendships, I would say. And so you just sometimes have to just throw yourself out there to whoever at the mercy of some Facebook group or whatever local meetup connection group or random lady at Starbucks that you just walk up and say hi to. This is how we create friendships when you're moving every few years. And so I had responded to a Facebook post, and it was actually for what we would call seasoned spouses. As a retired military spouse at that point in time, it was in my seasoned years, no longer a young spring chicken just starting out. And this led me then into a group of female friends that one which I connected to very strongly. Selena, her name is Selena, and she's actually in Hawaii right now. She is Hawaiian visiting family. But Selena and I connected, and she is the one who talked me into trying this pro bono client. I wasn't so sure that entrepreneurship was for me at that time. In fact, I thought, well, maybe I'll just take a couple of years and try and figure it out. Maybe I just need a different job with a different company. And she's the one who talked me into just trying this pro bono effort. And because of what I had done, I'd done a lot of print marketing, advertising, that kind of thing. And I hadn't really jumped too heavily into the digital world at that time, other than webinars and workshops, online workshops, things along those lines. And so through this pro bono effort with the local nonprofit, she kind of helped guide me a little bit through that process of like translating my skill set into the digital world and learning some new tools and becoming more familiar with how analytics work. That was back in like 2018. And so that was what kind of started it. And from that pro bono effort, I actually received my first client. And then from that first client, it just kind of steamrolled. And over the past few years, my company has now grown, which I love. I love that it's grown, but I've also changed a lot from that initial offerings of the things that I thought I wanted to do to where I'm at now. And so my focus now really is, I talked a little bit about servant leadership and kind of the who you are. And I know in my heart what I love is supporting people that maybe are marginalized, communities that are marginalized, people that are just need that extra boost. So for the military spouse community, it is absolutely a community that needs some extra help. They need some extra support to be able to boost ourselves into, either the professional employment arena or even just like to understand military life in general. So I do a lot of work in the transition space. Currently, I host 2 live streams per month and really focus on the hot topics for transitioning military families. And that's specifically because my family transitioned a couple of years ago, very familiar with it. We didn't have a great experience. We transitioned during COVID, so it was very difficult. I also, with this business partner, Selena, she and I also host a weekly live stream that is for small business entrepreneurs, where we talk about business topics, everything from, hiring a contractor to doing your marketing or what your website or DIY websites along those lines. So just trying to help that small business owner try and, be better at what they're doing. And we bring in experts from the different areas, and then they share what they know. And we are able to not just promote a small business, but then offer great value to other small businesses. And then just through on the other side, I also am an ambassador for SpouseLink, and with SpouseLink, I do a lot of that transition work as well, where I really focus on supporting military families that are going through that transition. And I'm an advocate for the spouse specifically, because if there's one thing I know and believe. It is when the military service member transitions out of the Army, the entire family is going through that process. It is not just the service member. And the same crises of identity and anxiety and depression and the same things that are happening with that service member, loss of community, loss of employment, it's all happening to the family as well. So I focus a lot of time and effort on that. And all of that, I mean, I'm very fortunate, right? The clients that I have are the ones where I'm able to focus on those passion projects for through my business. And I love that.
I, I love the fact that you've been focusing on some of those things externally through your shows. Entrepreneurship is kind of scary. I have Caroline or Corrine with a career military spouse of ours is a travel agent. So yeah, and
Yes.
there are some jobs that facilitate that type of lifestyle, right? Being a travel agent, doing a marketing that you could do from anywhere. There are some people that have established. You talked about homeschooling,
Yeah.
homeschooling as an actual business,
Yep.
and they travel with that stuff. Travel nursing, right? You could be a nurse and travel everywhere, and keep that flexibility of saying, I want to do this wherever I want to go to, and so
Yeah.
those things are available. You have to look at it when in terms of entrepreneurship and those lessons and uh, live shows that you do. What has been the recurring theme in terms of the spouses as to the hindrances? Is it just not knowing that this is available? And you share some resources. We'll make sure, folks, to put that in those links in the comments post the show, so you can get these like Spouse Link, Spouse Lee, AMSE, the Rosie Network. There's just so many other ones that are available for so many. So we'll make sure to do that. But what has been the greatest hesitation that you've seen for spouses, military spouses, to getting into the entrepreneurship field?
I would say that financing it is one of the biggest ones. Like, there's a lot of stress and strain on military families financially as it is, despite what people think. Our housing allowance does not break our bank account into the $1 million range every month. You know, we do actually spend that on housing. But I would say the financing is a really big one for most military spouses. I would also say just a lot of times it is not knowing that there's resources available. A lot of resources available right now are, resume building resources and how to get a job. But if you want to be an entrepreneur and you don't know where to start, I would say the biggest thing is going to be like, where do you find that resource? When I found AMSE, I was ecstatic. I mean, Moni has created this beautiful program from start to finish where, I mean, you really can jump in from the ground and learn as you go and build. And it was kind of fun watching my business grow from zero to where it is today. And it's that was supported through a couple different areas. AMC for sure. I also had an ACP mentor that I can't tell you how amazing this woman was. And she helped me focus so much on what was I really trying to get by being a business owner? Like, what was it that was so important to me? What was it that I needed from that experience? And to learn to, like, even if something was super profitable, if I didn't enjoy doing it in the long run, it wouldn't be sustainable for me. And she really helped me realize that component, which is how my business went from I offer all these mini marketing things to now I only offer a few things. And these are the things I love because I'm really good at them. And I know I'm going to do a great job for you in these areas. And that's allowed me then to continue to love what I do, which is a big deal when you're an entrepreneur. Because if you dread going to work every day, I mean, it's just like in a job. If you hate going to work every day, the only big difference is you can't really quit because you're your own boss and your own employee. So I guess you could quit yourself, but that doesn't work out very well if you need to also be bringing in a paycheck. Um, so that's
Yeah,
what I would say.
yeah, a lot to think about before you get in it. But the beauty of it, as you just said, there's so many resources and so many people. You know, ACP is a organization I mentor in, and so I
Yeah.
understand the value there from the mentor side. But I know that through those mentorships, what I've heard from those that have been mentored is that it was just on time. They needed it
Yeah.
at that time. So uh, we'll make sure to put all those links to those different resources in there. And there is a way, and then Stacy throws in the, yay, they, that's the link
I
right
love what a
there.
cheerleader.
Yeah, that's the
Yay.
link right there, and we appreciate that. Make sure that you visit that if you're looking to be mentored, or if you are in a capacity to mentor.
Yeah.
Try them. There's other sources like Veterati and any local organizations here in Orlando. The Camaraderie Foundation does a mentorship program. So there's so many. But the fact is that maybe sometimes with so many, you just don't even know. And so reach out if you have a question, maybe in your area where you're living, or within your circles that you may not know. We may be able to locate that for you. So we appreciate it. So Anna, what's you started this business? It's going. You kind of in tandem, homeschooling and business. Lord bless you, because we homeschool here, and every time my wife says, we need to do something about this," I say, "Well, you don't got the bandwidth." It's just not there. We have two kids we've homeschooled all their life, and so we
Yeah.
understand the complexity and demand of that. And so all those homeschoolers out there, Lord bless you.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those tasks. So you start this entity. You're doing it for yourself. You just hired 10 more bosses. What's on the horizon? Where you want to take this business? What do you want to see out of it? And what kind of clients are you looking for?
That's a great question. I've thought one of our clients just actually is located in Hawaii and just happens to be a family business consulting firm. And in my head, I've thought, where am I going with this? Like, what do I want this to become? And I would say that my service member spouse is a serial entrepreneur. He's got big dreams and big ideas. And we've talked about kind of combining some things and kind of creating almost like an agency that has some different arms. Um, and then I look at my 14-year-old daughter, and she's very much into digital art and graphic design, and I think, I wonder if this is something that she might want someday to take over. So really, like, where is it going? I don't know. The nice thing is right now is the sky's the limit. Over the next 10 years, I'll start to like decide, is this something that eventually will just end? Or is it something I'll be able to pass on to my child? Or is it something that my spouse and I will grow together? And at this point in time, I don't really have a good answer for that, other than I know that growth is in the horizon. So um, I'll, I'll be actually looking to bring on a couple of contract positions, which is amazing, right? Because it shows that growth, but also very scary because then I do actually become, a type of boss for someone else, and there's a responsibility, a heavy responsibility that goes along with that. As far as the kind of clients that I'm looking for, basically anybody who wants to build that human connection with their audience. I work mostly with small and medium sized businesses, and I really do everything, a lot of copywriting. I write a lot of articles, um, and I do a lot of social media support with basic graphic design and posting and scheduling and those kinds of things. I have a lot of that I do. And then with my business partner, we build and design WordPress websites. I do the copy, and she is the actual designer. So WordPress website. So if you're looking for a new website, our websites are high-end, customized, WordPress designed. And then we also run Google Ads, and do all those things that digital marketers do. So anybody that's in that space that's looking for maybe a fresh perspective, um, a fractional CMO type of position where if you need a strategy plan for the year, something along those lines, that's where you can contact me. And I would be happy to send out a proposal and let you know exactly how it is that I can support what you're looking to do within your own business.
Outstanding. I think John John put serious thought on a serial finisher. We
That
appreciate
is
it.
true. Especially since retirement. Can I tell you, it is like, I'm like, we have 25 projects happening at my house at any one time.
Right, and I understand it. He also put a YouTube link. So, folks, if you're looking for the shows, the content that Anna and Selena are putting out, that's the YouTube link. It's in the comments. So be sure to go
Yes.
to that. Folks, we are highlighting military spouses and entrepreneurship because it's that's a double job. That's a double job, right? It's not easy. It's hard when you're in. Maybe when you retire, you have a little more leeway in one way, but it's still a lot of work, right? And it takes time, a lot of effort. And so my hats to all military spouse entrepreneurs that have decided not to go the easy way. Not that there is an easy way there, but they're not going down your own road because it really is a challenge. And for all of you that are considering entrepreneurship, there I'm going to have various guests. We had one last week. We have one today that you can surely reach out to and find out what that life
Absolutely.
looks like, and get some background work done before you take the plunge. Because once you start, right, you don't want to be that serial non-finisher. But the sky's the limit, and I'm glad for you, Anna, and what you're doing. That is the perspective that you're looking at it from, because truly, when you get into entrepreneurship, it is what you detail it to be. And
Yeah.
if you want to finish one day to the next, believe me, I've had those days to say, yeah, I think I'm gonna shut this down, and then I'm like, maybe not. But we get those feelings come up, right? Because it is true when I say you switch one boss for the many, and
Yes.
those demands they differ on the services you provide. But we're happy that you're doing this piece. So, folks, if you're looking for a marketer, you fit that customer description that Anna just gave. Feel free to reach out. If you're looking for guidance or anything, I'm sure that she'll entertain some questions if you DM her or you message her. But Anna, what is the best way to reach you, specific to being a customer, or just to connect and chit chat about the possibilities of going down this entrepreneurship road?
Yeah, so I will tell you, my website is currently getting a refresh, but my website is nomadabout.com. It will give you a link to email me if you'd like to go that way, but really the best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. That is my platform of choice in terms of connecting through social media, and just you can get a good viewpoint of kind of who I am and what I do. And so that would be probably the top two ways to find me. I also have a Facebook page, an Instagram page. So any of those ways, you can always reach out through any of the main social media platforms. Send me a message. Just tell me that you heard me on this show, and I would be happy to connect with you.
Outstanding, folks. We'll make sure that I, Anna, or John, already employing him, we'll put those links in the comments so that you can get a hold of Anna and her agency. It's been such a joy to have you on Aloha Friday Live, folks. I want to remind everybody that you can catch the show on LinkedIn, YouTube, Parade Deck, Facebook if you follow us. But we are also on the hunt for 500 subscribers on YouTube. If you go to @DTLW Podcast on YouTube, you'll find our show, both live shows streamed there and our podcast show streamed there. But we're chasing 500. Obviously, we're chasing more, but 500 is the goal right now. If you'll help us get there by going to @DTLW on YouTube, we would appreciate it. But today has been about Anna, her marketing agency, her entrepreneurship life, and all that she could do for you. Thanks to all the guests that were with us today. We really appreciate your support. And we will have next week another entrepreneur on the show that will detail what they are doing. But today is Anna. Anna, thank you so much for being with us. Aloha Friday, everybody. Mahalo for being with us. And have a great weekend and safe one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.